Films have the power to immerse us, to move us, to make us cry and laugh. But sometimes a film inspires something much darker, that most primal of instincts. The instinct that allowed humans as a race to survive, an instinct which is arguably the most powerful of all emotions in cinema. The instinct of fear. Here are 5 horror films guaranteed to inspire fear within you. But be warned, once these films have been watched, they can never be forgotten. Spoilers ahead. Halloween. Halloween has had 12 sequels over the years, each focusing on their own timeline and continuity, with its latest reiteration, Halloween Ends, being seen as one of the worst films of the franchise. But if you haven't seen any of them, I thoroughly recommend you stick to the original and the original only. It's hard to understate the impact of the original Halloween. It was amongst the first films to create what would become the slasher genre and pioneered the so-called final girl trope, subsequently inspiring pretty much every slasher film that came after it. Halloween gives off such a creepy, nerve-shredding look behind you vibe, and that is because of the character of Michael Myers. Myers, with his blank, expressionless mask, is the very personification of a cold, heartless murderer, stalking you and never stopping until he has killed you. He is a terrifying creation that fills you with dread every time you sense he is around. And that is the best thing about Halloween. Although it has its fair share of violence, the film creates a sense of dread, a sense of intensity, because you know that Michael Myers is somewhere around. And when you stop watching the film, you begin to wonder whether he is the only thing hiding somewhere in the shadows. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. They don't get more heart-racing than this. The cheap film stock, grotty locations and general haphazard style of the film adds bags of tension and unease to this already immensely unsettling and horrifyingly sick creation. Like Michael Myers from Halloween, Leatherface is one of the all-time most terrifying villains ever put to screen. His size, his aggression, his speed and general derangement makes him a figure that can never be forgotten. By the end of the film, as our heroine makes her getaway and the deranged Leatherface is left twirling and spinning that deafening chainsaw, I can guarantee you that you will not be taking a breath. You'll be clutching the armrest as you sit halfway off the seat with your heart going like the clappers. The mark of a good horror film in this case is being glad when it's over. Oh, and if that doesn't disturb you, I guarantee you that the family dinner scene will forever stick in your mind, simply because of how utterly depraved it all is. Saw. Regardless of the declining quality of the sequels, the original Saw is still horrifying if you're watching it for the first time. Imagine the situation. You wake up in a bathroom, chained to a pipe, with a dead body in front of you. Soon, you discover you are the victim of a wanted serial killer who has a habit of placing his victims in torture devices. All you know is if you don't leave this room soon, you're going to die too. All you have at your disposal is a rusty saw. Blunt enough to not cut the chains, but just sharp enough to perhaps cut off something else and allow you to escape. Although the situation alone is terrifying, what really makes Saw a film that will forever stick with you is the filmmaking. The original Saw, unlike its mostly lackluster sequels, had genuine creativity, passion and shocks. It creates genuine unease. Through simple camera tricks, post-production techniques, a really uneasy, hectic, panicked feeling is created. Plus, it features such a killer twist ending.
Game over.
NOSFERATU. The granddaddy of the horror film. Silence won't save you from this immensely creepy horror, because that's actually the point. The imagery alone is genuinely scary. Sure, it doesn't hold up to a modern audience's threshold of what makes a good horror. You won't find jump scares, buckets of blood gushing everywhere, satire or a hidden agenda. But purely on an aesthetic level, NOSFERATU creates horror. Through its creative lighting, use of shadow, makeup, very good acting and production design, it really does create an uneasy atmosphere of terror. If you want to learn how to create something scary through imagery alone, look at silent horror, especially the grandmaster of them all, NOSFERATU. The German 70s remake of the film is also excellent. Just make sure to see the German version instead of the English one, as the acting and general atmosphere is just more terrifying when the performers are speaking in their native tongue. The Shining. In 2013, a study was conducted which monitored people as they watched horror films, and the results found that The Shining inspired the most heart palpitations from any other major horror film. It is literally a nerve shredder and arguably the scariest movie ever made. Combining Stanley Kubrick's great filmmaking, the cast's wonderful acting and the selection of music, the film is a study in anxiety. As you watch The Shining, you begin to become consciously aware that what you are watching simply cannot take place. The Overlook Hotel's interiors make no sense when you attempt to understand the geography. The ghosts that Jack sees cannot be there. The blood pouring from the elevator surely cannot be real. This idea of cabin fever, of being locked in, of not being able to escape, combined with the shocking imagery and general strangeness of the film, creates an incredibly anxious and apprehensive environment from which there is seemingly no escape. For me personally, The Shining is the best horror film of all time and one of my all-time favourites. But what about you? Have I left off a horror film that you would include in this list? Leave a comment and see what others say. For more film content and box office news, maybe think about subscribing. Have a terrifying time.